until you can't really offer yourself to others. You just can't. It's a nice idea though, but the reality of it just doesn't bear fruit, right? It doesn't, it's not sustainable. And so we're going to be working on that again today. So now, good morning, everyone. Hi, good to see everyone. This is going to be our last garden meditation until August 5th, because I will be in retreat. Everyone will be welcome to come up, and there will be an all-day mindful all day at Pete's Dome on Saturday, the 29th. And so those are my announcements. We will have other people, however, here covering on Zoom. So just know we will always be here. And so, Greg, you want to talk for a few minutes about what else is going on with EMC?
Sure. Yeah, we have St. Andrews again coming up this next week. So Tuesday is the deadline to get your food to Carrie's house, and 1092 Aloha Drive. And just if she's not there, just put it at the front of the garage and she'll bring it inside. We'll deliver it on Wednesday. So this is the same things that we've been collecting over the last year or so. I guess it's been more than a year, I think now. And so, you know, canned goods, you can get cereals, not fresh food. It's got to be canned or packaged, and lots of places to get that. Look, you can go down to let's see, what's the dollar store, I think is where you go, Diana.
Yeah, Dollar Tree.
Yeah, I go to Costco and can get really, you know, case prices there for canned goods and different things. So anyway, so that's what's happening with that. The t-shirts, we have put that out there for you to order t-shirts. They're $20 a piece. This is really quite a deal. I mean, really quite a deal. And normally those t-shirts is probably about $40. So they're really nice t-shirts, very special t-shirts, all cotton. And I think that we have a spreadsheet someplace, and I'm not sure where it is. Dinah, you sent it out, I believe.
No, Carrie has it and I have it. We have one here.
Oh, okay. So basically just we have unisex, which is men's and women's. And we also have women's t-shirts. And the sizes for the women's are the small, medium, and large. And for the men's, it's medium, large, and extra large. And the colors are black, blue, and white. So we've kind of simplified it there. And so if you're interested, go ahead and send $20 with the information on what it is you want, what size, what style, and to Carrie, and then we'll go.
We can Venmo, and I'm going to be putting that out hopefully this weekend, no later than Monday, with the QR code to Encinitas Mindfulness, which is our Venmo, where you can order, pay the $20 and order the shirt. You have to just put in the messaging what size and color, and whether you want the women's or the unisex. And I recommend for the ladies, everybody gets the women's. They're fitted, they're lighter, they're really comfortable, very soft cotton, and a high quality product. They're very nice to wear. And it does say on the back, just so you know, not just EMC on the front, this one does say on the back, mindfully elevated, heavily meditated. That was our original design from 15 years ago. And we've revived it. This is like a revival shirt. This is a vintage revival.
I know.
Yeah, a lot of people think it says a lot of things, and it's always a fun discussion. I will tell you, when they read it quickly. And they're on what medication are you on? So it can open the door to really wonderful conversation. A wonderful conversation about our path to the end of suffering and what that looks like. And that it's not as small as a pill. And is as big as a boundless heart, right? That's the path we're walking together. So thanks, Greg. You can also Venmo Encinitas Mindfulness or me, either one. I don't care because I go shopping. I will be going shopping on Monday this week for Tuesday. And we just go over there and go to the back room at Dollar Tree and get all the canned tuna and all the manwich stuff, as much protein as we can just get in the thing, or veggie all that people can put in soups and other stuff. Like Aldi's is another option, and Aldi's does have some already pre-boxed stuff, so that kind of works out nicely. It's a little easier when you do it that way. But and I already have gotten some money from some people. Thank you so much for that. Okay, here we are. Here we are. So hopefully you did receive this. I put it in almost everyone's email. I got Bryn's email wrong. That didn't help. But I'm looking at everybody. You probably got it, I hope. And this is a short excerpt from Sharon Salzberg's book, Real Love. Real Love. And here's the quote at the top. I thought we'd start there. We do not need to go out and find love. Rather, we need to be still and let love discover us. Let love discover us. This can seem in some way slightly inconsistent with Sharon's book on real life, because in real life, she talks a lot about activism, really, and about the actionable realities of love. And that's important, isn't it? Because love is not simply a concept. It's not just a nice idea, and it's really just not a Hallmark card, right? This is our diminished understanding, really, of love. And so real life says love is lived, and then love is lived actively, intentionally, purposefully, and then continuously, right? There you go. There's a guy got goosebumps going, yeah, well. In real love, she focuses really on a different aspect of love, not the romantic love, not the familial, not the my tribe, my peeps, my group, my, right, but really the love that can be consistently lived with all beings. That love with all beings. And that she suggests in the book, Real Love, that we let go of the romance novel version, because it does damage, doesn't it then, to the reality of love as a quality rather than a feeling. You get the difference? It's a quality of being. And she says in Real Love, not only is it a quality of heart, it's also a quality of attention. That it is a quality of attention. And so then what do you suppose that means? Not just felt, but a quality of attention. What are the guesses about?
It's what a child needs from their parents. Time and attention.
Yes.
Time standing next to them on your phone or something that doesn't
That's right.
quite work.
Physical presence. Physical presence is not sufficient.
It's awareness, presence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awareness, presence.
I see you. I
Yes.
see you.
Yes.
They soak that up as much
That's
as
right.
you can give them.
That's right. Any other ideas about that? It is a quality of attention.
kind of being in the flow of yourself. Just a natural flow can be felt.
Yes. Being present to yourself, with yourself, in yourself, as yourself.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you can't give
Margie
it if
just
you don't
said.
have it, you know,
Yeah. Like, no, not that person. Yes. Beginning right there.
you can't give it if you don't have it.
Can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
Says, the
Not
Buddha.
to remember.
That's right.
Making the intention. Pay attention.
Making the intention to pay attention, which is also correct. It is intentioned on purpose. It is not random. It is not accidental. That's a part of what makes it ultimately sustainable. I am enacting this, and I can enact this then by those conditions, beginning with intention again. And so then, what does love look like then?
I have a working definition. It's a willingness to accept myself and others just as I am, just as they are right now.
Did everybody hear Bryn say the willingness to accept myself and then others exactly as we are each right now, both in relationship and then individually, right? As we are right now. Any other thoughts? So what's different about that than acceptance? Harry says it comes from the heart with no attachments, which ultimately means what? No demand, no expectations, no preference. By the way, no bias. Now we're starting to talk a little bit about attention again, aren't we? There's that attention piece with the kind of clear and present mind without the lens of what? Wanting. Without the lens of wanting. Uh-oh.
No judgments.
No judgments,
Yeah,
no preference, no demands, no expectation, no gottas, no supposed tos, no musts. No, it's got to look like. The Buddha says no form. Oh, what does that mean? It doesn't look like a thing. It doesn't look like a card at Valentine's Day. It doesn't look like you always have to say to me when I say to you. Now at all, does it? Do you now feel where it is now boundless? Then, right?
The question that comes to my mind though is it possible? Like,
Well, yes, here's the words of the Buddha himself. I will not ask this of you if you are not capable of it. I will not ask it of you, and I will not teach it if you are not capable of it. I love that, because look at the faith, trust, confidence, and love in that. I won't ask it. If you're not capable, that would be ridiculous. It's like a setup. Then, of course it is. Now, there are causes and conditions we understand that contribute to this, and that's why we practice and train. It's not random, it's not accidental, and no, it doesn't. So we could use the idea of a seed, and a seed by itself, without right conditions, right, will not likely grow. Right? It's not just the seed. So the capability is that seed, right? And what? It takes sun, supplements, nutrition, water, right? Soil, right? All these elements. That's called conditional and causality. A thing is not made of itself also. A thing is made of the, right, constellation of things. The reason we practice is to see what is that constellation for me? What does it take for me to bring all of those elements together so that love then arises? And by the way, the teachings say, and it arises with consistency. It arises completely. It arises again and again with those conditions and causes. It would be wise then to know what they are, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be skillful to go, what is that? And so we're going to practice that. What are the causes? What are the conditions? What's required of the heart? What's required of the body? What's required of the mind to create the right pot, soil, water, sun, to then manifest that the condition of love. The exception to this is that the Buddha then says, love is not bound by condition, not bound by condition. The conditions are infinite, but is cultivated by condition. You get the difference? It is not bound by condition. It is unconditional, yet it is cultivated by conditions. You get the difference, right? Good to have, right? What do we do when we meditate? We try to create a little quiet space, right? We try to create a little comfortable space. We try to get the body restful, right? Those are useful conditions. Is it required, though, for mindfulness? Is it required? No, it wouldn't.
Sometimes seeds grow up through the concrete.
That's right. Exactly. Right. So not required and conducive is actually the translation. Conducive to love. Well, we want to create as much conducive as we can, don't we? I want to create as many possibilities as I can for love to arise. And so knowing something about them, by the way, is helpful. Here's the other truth, says the Buddha. Knowing the conditions under which it is not present is also useful. You get why? Don't you? You get where is it also not in evidence is as useful as knowing where it arises, knowing where it does not arise. Well, I just ran into one of those, noticing where it did not arise. In the name of love. In the name of love, noticing where it did not arise. And how lovely to see it. Go, ooh, is that really love? Maybe not. Maybe that's fear, maybe that's wanting, maybe that's expectation. My mother is not well. She's got a bad cornea, and I don't know that her care is adequate. I'm going to say there's some chance that it may or may not be. I don't want to decide that. I'm past that now. I've recovered from that thought. Like I know, nope, let that go. And I was on the phone with her, and I'm saying to her very patiently, quietly, Mom, did you ask the questions that I wrote to you and to the doctor in the appointment? Did you do that, Mom? Nothing. Okay, so I will take that as you didn't ask the questions. What are we hoping now? Well, right? And I realize I got no business in that conversation, right? What did she just tell me? I can't do this. This is too hard, scary, or overwhelming for me. I'm going to ask her 200 more questions about why she didn't and if she could have and what we're going to do about that and how I can help her if she can't ask those basic questions. We're going, wherever we're going, folks, I'll tell you what it isn't. It isn't love. Now, it doesn't mean I don't love my mother. It means in that moment, I lost that contact to get into, how am I going to fix this? What about this? What if she doesn't? Oh no, and my own distress. Right, that's the truth. And so isn't that useful to see? Because now this is no longer love. It doesn't mean I don't love my mother. Don't make the mistake. it means that's not where I was coming from. I'm coming from, holy shit, I'm gonna have to go out there. Now I'm gonna be at doctor's appointments, and now I'm not too happy about that because who's got time? Right. Now, the good news is once you see what love is not, you once again have the potential, don't you? Then you go, not this, whatever this is. This is contracted. This is limited, right? This is squeezing me. And now, most unfortunately, for someone who's going to be 88 squeezing her. And then you don't have to do it. And so I'm going out to Hemet today. And guess what my goal is? Love. I'm going to buy a pie and I'm going to sit there and we might play a game of cribbage. And my goal is not to talk about doctors or the eye or medicine at all. And then you remember what John O'Donohue wrote as we get ready to practice. We do not need to go out and find love. Rather, we need to be still and let love discover us. Right, that's the stillness we're going to practice now, and then we'll look at it. Okay, so let's get prepared to sit. And it's hard to make contact, isn't it? Unfortunately for us, it's hard to make contact with love when we are in attachment, Carrie said, when we're in wanting, when we're in not wanting. But it's so helpful to see it clearly because then we can remove the obstruction. We can remove the obstruction. Oh, I'm just wanting this to be fixed and I'm wanting you to be, right? And then we recognize it. And then as we remove it by dissolving the expectations, the judgments, we see that love is actually right there. Okay. So feet in some way in support. If you can make contact with the earth. Feeling into the body. Sitting here. And then turning towards the awareness of the breath. The natural, unfabricated breath. Moving in and out of the body. And we touch in not only into the breath space, we touch in to those real felt sensations of the breath, both on the in breath and the out breath. And just feel into your own humanness, your own aliveness. Your own shaky tenderness. And find that tender spot and rest the attention there. It may be an area that is large or a pinpoint. It may be a cluster of sensations that invite your contact with that tenderness. And as you turn towards that tenderness, you're going to place the attention and the breath in that area of the body. I want you to see what else arises. With that shaky tenderness, with that ache, with that reality. It's the vulnerability of being alive. It's the vulnerability of love. See if you can stay in contact. Breathing in and out and creating space and room for the very experience. We're not trying to get rid of it. It's actually our unwillingness to feel it that actually causes us to move away from love. Because we all have the fantasy, don't we, that love feels good. Love is pleasing. Love is delicious, connecting. And it isn't that it is or isn't true, it's that it does not take one form. Love is also heartbreaking, scary, vulnerable. And we're going to see if we can't just stay for a while. And then in the staying, the second work then, once we sustain the attention, is to actually begin to move slightly closer towards that tenderness, towards that softened heart, towards that vulnerability. Love is first known in the quiet as we let love come to us. And also as we let love come through us. Real love is always available, never diminished. and supported by conditions. And one of them is a certain understanding of the felt sense of love. How do we know it in the body? And remember, we all like the idea of love as expanding. Love is boundless. Love is sweet and warm. And this love is love that is easy to attach to, easy to prefer, and actually one we frequently demand. Love should look like this. It should feel like this. We can paste on expectations and preferences to this kind of love. That's those attachments. And then consequently miss love in all of its infinite form. I'd just like you to see what ideas come up for you as you're resting in the tenderness, in the vulnerability of love. See what ideas come up for you about love. Love should be pleasant. It should be sweet. It should be kind. It should feel good. It often follows the believed thoughts. If you loved me, you would something. See if you can make contact with those frequently falsely believed thoughts that inhibit love. Love would give me what I want, or maybe even give me what I need. Love will give me, not require things of me. It's a common one. I'd be getting something in love. And if you don't have any specific thoughts arising, that's really fine. Just stay in the felt sense there. The felt sense in the heart space. And pay attention to what might get in its way. Often, one of a couple things. One is a kind of clinging to it, especially if it's positive or we like it or it's familiar. The other is a running from it because it doesn't have the texture, the quality, the goodie on it that we're looking for. So we head the other way, shut down, close off, go numb. We can also distract, like I can't even stay in contact with the feeling. I'm thinking about the birds. We mostly don't want the truth of the tenderness of love, the shaky, queasy reality. We want the certainty, we want the pleasant, we want the result. But what is this set of sensations asking of you? Both in their appearance and in their disappearance. They will rise and present and change and fade. And really, you have this real love abides. And the very strategies that you're using here are the ones you do every day. And so I'll just do a short descriptor for you to make contact. I felt that tight press in the upper chest. That's a protection for me. And I know about it. It's high up over the heart. I could feel the squeeze of that. And as I stayed, I could feel a kind of nausea underneath. But it's easy to avoid. And the practice in real love is to stay and open, both to the contractedness, to the numbness, to the distractedness, to the storyline we're writing, and to keep coming back as best we can to that soft and tender heart. To that ache, or to the numbness. And we are still and quiet there. And several people said it in the practice, and we remain open and present. Placing of attention again and again. Open to our own achy or tender, numb or closed hearts, as well as the ones that are open. But this is where we tend to turn away. This is the practice. And as you're breathing in, see if you can't open then to any particular emotion states. As we continue this training and turning towards with care, with kindness, with openness. See what you notice your habits might be. Often we go into planning, organizing, fixing. That would be an active state, doing something. Securing something. This includes criticizing, judging, being disappointed. Even feeling not cared about. That's just a different side. Feeling sorry for oneself. These are all strategies. And remember, in the recognition itself, we are liberated and can simply come back into the physical felt sense. Whatever is there. And if you hit that tight spot, that numbness, that coolness, that nothing, or the thinking about it, just know that that's a strategy as well. And then we can feel for ourselves. Feel for ourselves in our fear, in our tenderness, in our not knowing, in our wanting and not wanting. All the obstacles. The real love. And we stay. And in the staying, real love is present. And can we stay enough to make contact and offer real love to our humanness, our vulnerability, our fear? And the repetition is still here, it just isn't in the phrases. That's the second aspect of the practice. The first is that the repetition is in the staying, is in the placing, is in the being present again and again. Being present to the fearful thought, to the nausea, to the ache, to the tear, whatever's here. And then we begin to get a sense of why real love is understood to be unconditioned and formless. Doesn't take one form because it responds, it interacts with what is needed, with what is here. There is no one way. It is relational, interactive. And then if you want, you could recollect a moment where you placed the limit on love. You had an idea of what it should look like, how it should act, what it should be, how you should be. Calling that to mind. Love needs to look like this, be like this, or live like this. We all have our versions of that. Just recollecting one. May look like frustration, disappointment, expectations, fear. And remembering that our first work is to make contact with our own tenderness. All of those devices are protections. The first action of real love. Now we can invite that inquiry, what is most needed now? As we make contact with that tenderness, that vulnerability. And see if you could make that offering. Remember, it is first a quality of being before it is actionable. When you cultivate the quality, you yourself are deserving of love and protection. Your own presence. The greatest offering. And in the quietude and in the boundlessness, in its time, what will naturally arise is not only love for oneself, care for oneself, but the other. Right out of the quiet. And the first practice, once again, is to cultivate the quality. We can hold the other in our own heart minds. As our greatest and most radical act of love. recognizing their humanness, their vulnerability, their tenderness. In all its form. May you be happy, safe, and well. May you have ease and well-being. May I be happy, safe, and well. May I have ease and well-being. May we all be happy, safe, and well. May we all have ease and well-being. And then wherever we place our attention, real love arises. We are all then happy, safe, and well. We all have ease and well-being. So then we invite the inquiry. Right? This is the point of the practice. We invite the inquiry. What nurtures, nourishes, right? Real love, and what gets in its way. And so that you, because knowing both is an essential part of the path, knowing both. What is it and what gets in its way? And so what is it?
I'm not, therapeutically with folks, you know, there's the habituations, in getting to, you know, observe, you know, having the great blessing of, you know, seeing it, you know, through others' eyes, you know, that sometimes people start with the habituation that, you know, love is when I'm demeaned or manipulated or when I'm in control. But you know, to get to that, you know, when you get past those places, there's the, you know, the bonding that we experience as an infant, you know, which, you know, the first time we're home and fed, it's that no self and other. It's just absolute. So then the notion to me is that, you know, as an adult person, that you know, for an infant, it's complete vulnerability, no responsibility really. It's just hold me, feed me, what, you know. For an adult, it's my acceptance is what creates that safety, my self acceptance,
Yeah.
and acceptance of other people.
Yeah.
And so that's the notion. That's
Yeah.
uh,
And how did you know it, Bryn? How do you know that felt sense? What does it feel like for you?
do you mean today when we
Mhm.
were meditating?
Right in the practice.
It's just a real quietness.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, like no need to.
Right.
I guess it's the stillness.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? There's not really very much required first. Whatever you do after, right? And we tend to limit love, don't we? I think to the result, and then it looks like that, or then it goes like that, or then you do that, or I do that, but that's not its origin at all. That's one of its, right? Infinite manifestations, but doesn't have a code. It doesn't have, and then it always goes, or you do, or I do at all. And it certainly doesn't come out of that place. Why? And actually, it's damaging if it does. What happens the minute you construct?
Separate.
Yep. The second you go like that, the minute you impose, looks like this, feels like this, supposed to be like this, why not this? How come that? Right? The minute you do it, there's a limitation to it. And love, remember, we already know, is unconditioned by its true nature. It is unconditioned, supported by conditions, but not required. Okay? So the minute we go, it shouldn't, you should, blah, 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 I, you, we're already in some kind of trouble. The minute I went, well, Mom, couldn't you have asked the questions? It took 45 minutes to come up with those. Mom, wouldn't it have been a good idea? No, not really. Not really the point.
I know sometimes I feel like I would just like to be a dog. Wag my tail.
Yeah. Dog might start there a little more naturally than we do.
Yeah.
Might it? Might start more naturally, which is really like whatever's going to come now. This is, however it unfolds, this is good.
That's my dog.
when I, my dad, and I'm constantly teasing my son. Oh, see, she loves me more than you do. Look at she's spinning circles, right?
Yeah.
Like I've already put something on there, and even though it's teasing,
Yes,
of course I want her to love me.
yes. Mhm, mhm. So Libby, who's my sister who lives here now with little man, frequently says to little man, oh, sure, just go to them.
Yeah, exactly. It's really
Sure,
fine.
sure, no problem. I'm the one who feeds you, cares for you. You just wag your tail when they walk in the door. Right? And really, it says something, doesn't it, about what we want, expect, hope, need me more, want me more, wag more, or don't wag for them, or whatever we're doing. And by the way, there's no problem in any of it. This isn't what I'm saying. I'm saying, can we recognize the demands that we place and the demands that we also feel as it relates to love? If I really something, then I would do this. Really? Is it true? No. No, it's infinite, unbounded, unconditioned. But it would come from that place. And that you can always trust. You can always trust it. And if it comes out of, well, come on, Mom, couldn't you have it would be better to do nothing. Wouldn't it? It would be so much better to do nothing. And then get back to oneself. Really get back to oneself and recognize one's own tenderness or vulnerability or fear or pain. This would be better. And that would be real love, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? To go, oh, I just want to fix this and it doesn't look good. It's not looking good. And by its nature, real love is not a fix. Anyway, that's not what it does. That's what we do out of fear, by the way. We fix out of fear. We don't fix out of love. Love is a different thing. Love holds, Bryn said, right? Love is present. And then there may be all kinds of things that come from that, but it's not out of fixing. It's out of responding. Remember, I said interactional, we're in it, and out of the inness of it, you go, it'd be good to help you out. But not out of fixing, out of, as Joko used to say to me a lot, doing what is available and to do is what love is. It doesn't go me or you. It doesn't go this or that. It doesn't have any of those like this or not like this. It just responds by its nature. And it's not limited to our favorite flavor, color, or way. It's beyond that. It looks bigger than that, actually. And so my real love for my mother is going to look a lot like not fixing. Not fixing is real love. Like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Wanting to fix, wouldn't it be part of real love, depending on the reactivity or the
The wanting to fix, could it be?
for the other person?
Uh,
They're suffer.
The wanting, yes, it would look like compassion, recognizing suffering and the response to that. And would that come from the place of quietude and real love? It definitely could, but it wouldn't look like fixing anymore. No, fix has a demand. It has a result. It has a limitation by its nature, which is you will ask the questions and then you will get better attached to it. That's fixing. I will love you. I'll send the questions. You'll ask them or you won't ask them. Right, might be a response. And then with no, there would be no. Mom, what do you mean you didn't ask the questions, Mom? How did you not ask the question? You asked me to write them. Doesn't have that in it. That's not. But the writing of the questions, just as here's some possibilities. Sure, couldn't it? Responding? Sure could. But it has no disappointment. It has no frustration. It has no annoyance. It doesn't have it in it. Well, that's something else. That's something else. And you got to know the difference. It doesn't mean love's not there.
If you were putting them in other, you love them.
Me and my mother. Equal opportunity demander. Yep. No, by the way, I'm not thinking about her torn cornea at all. I don't know. Might be her. I don't even know if it's hurting. I don't know. I just want to know that we're taking care of this. It's being handled somehow. And I have to be able to honor and acknowledge that part of me. And do I want her the reduced suffering for her? Absolutely. I do. There's no question about it. And I want to feel better now. And I want her to feel better now so I can feel better now. And that's a different thing. I still want her to feel better now out of real love. And I'd really like her to feel better now so I don't have to worry, be concerned, recognize the limitation of this human life and its impermanence and mine, hers and mine. That's the practice. And we can't get to that, can we, if we cannot bear our own experience? Can we? We can't get to how am I going to hold you in your fear? How will I hold you in your impermanence if I can't bear mine? Well, this is a little shaky territory. So it might be better to just stay with yours for a minute and breathe that and know that and be with that. And then the actions from there, I trust fairly completely, by the way, which is how I'm going out to Hemet today to have lemon meringue pie and play cribbage. And I have no interest in the conversation about what you need to do. Actually. And I trust what will come from it. Actually, more than I trust that we got to talk about your torn cornea. And so think about what you, on two sides, what you think you need to do for love. Whoops, be careful there. And what you need to get for love.
It's been gotten real simple, just staying in here with me. But it's odd that at my age, friend, never done it. There's a little sense of relief that's like, with me?
Yeah.
No attention? And that's all I need.
That's right. Well, that's all any of us needs.
I've
And-
never done it. It feels
Yeah.
so weird.
Well, I'm not so sure I'm great at it either, Brenda.
I would say the
Margie,
same.
I've been practicing a long time. So you know.
Yeah.
I'm still discovering the desire to fix the thing and can get caught. But the seeing of it, I know counts. And the also releasing it counts. And the non-judgment towards me, it counts. And the non-judgment towards my mother, and that counts. And that's love, isn't it? That's love. And now it's quiet. Nobody had to do anything. You asked or you didn't. You went or you didn't. You talked about it or you didn't. You brought the pie or you didn't. Because it's not limited like that, is it? I don't have to bring a pie. This is not required. Right? And so what do you mistake it for? What do you mistake it for? Where do you make the mistake? If there was love, then what?
It's the doing rather than
being here. That's the quietude that John O'Donoghue's talking. He was a contemplative. He knew that before that, anything else you were doing was confused. And then from that, whatever you were doing probably came out of the quiet and wasn't attached and wasn't prejudiced and wasn't preferenced and wasn't wanting and didn't have anything to do with what you liked or didn't. And maybe not even what the other liked or didn't.
Principle would be different.
Isn't it?
Least effort,
Least effort.
just for
It flows, the words come up a couple times, hasn't it? In the Buddhist tradition, they say is, it just is. And out of the isness, right action. Whatever the action then, you're falling on, will spontaneously without effort. Without effort. How about that? What about that idea? Without effort. Holy crap, what does that mean? Because I'm efforting all over the place. I'm writing letters all over the place. I mean, 55 phone calls all over the place. I'm already tired. And we can mistake that for love. See, this is what I want us to be watchful of. You can mistake that, right? Ugh, it's so hard. Whoops. You're in the wrong spot. Whatever else you're doing, count on it. That's not love. It doesn't mean, as Brenda said, that love isn't under it all, but fear has now come over it. That's that protected heart. Do something. It demands, do something. Don't feel this. No, doesn't have to do, but it comes out of something else, doesn't it? See, it comes out of that quietude. And what does you feel first? Non-separation, presence abiding, just being here, flowing in its nature. That's first. That's first. That's what John means about comes from the quiet and the stillness, comes from it. Doesn't mean it remains passive. It doesn't mean it doesn't act. That's not what it means. But it comes from that vast, wide, open, boundless, unconditioned. Right. And then what does the Buddhist teaching say? Colorless, ageless, timeless. Beyond all conditions. Then it could look like anything now, couldn't it? It could look like knock it off. It could be just as much love. Couldn't it? Because it's not coming out of reactivity. It's not coming out of, I don't like this because I'm scared. It's coming out of, my love for you means we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. My greatest act of love, by the way, probably. My greatest act of love in this lifetime so far was, I will knock you to the ground and handcuff you. My greatest act of love. Didn't look very sweet at all. It was filled. And by the way, the person felt it also. So we don't say, do we? That it always comes with the bow and card. And always says with love. It doesn't mean it isn't love either. And then we remember, don't we, all those other moments that we have mistaken for something else that were, because it was quiet, it was, right, it just was there. The way my grandmother cut my toes. Real love. See, then we look in all the little places too, not just the, and see, can we look today then? And can we then keep looking for all those little places, those moments where it is. And then those other ones where somebody says, and I will handcuff you to protect you. And frequently I notice myself, don't you, that real love doesn't get much applause. Not really. Not really, not much, right? It just is. And so we don't need to look for something that comes back from it because it already is nourishing. It is already whole and already complete, isn't it? It doesn't look for anything else, right? We get this idea. I'm going to read chat quickly before we go. Yep, all these, we got that going. Grab me. Got t-shirt stuff happening. Anything anybody on Zoom wants to say about this? We know, don't we? We know, we can feel it. We know it's nature. We just forget. We get caught up, don't we all sometimes, in that. Let me do, this is it. It will. And then we wake up and see more clearly, and that's good too. Thea, there you are. Anything to add? I can't hear you. Unmute you. There you go. So pay attention. If you're acting quickly, people mistake this too. If you take a quick action, I used to think maybe that's not love, but that's not the quiet that we're talking about. The other words for that quiet could be something like beyond one's self motive, or right, because if somebody were to fall, you would grab them, wouldn't you? And you might say, well, that didn't really come out of the quiet, but it did come beyond one's self, didn't it? There wasn't me going, now what's this gonna get me?
But you really got to be present in order to be able to.
You do.
So maybe the presence is the,
That's right.
maybe.
That's right. And it, by its nature, doesn't have form or condition. So that's what we mean by the quiet. Beyond the habits, you said, beyond the idea, beyond the demand, right,
Compulsions.
right, beyond all that. Doesn't, it's not even in there. It's not even in there. That's right. That's right. That's right. Which we do really. Carrie was saying our habits for stepping over moments for real love are also present. And that's our own fear, isn't it? Our own, well, if I get it, then I'm going to have to drive them, right? Somewhere. Or then they're going to ask me for more, or it's not really going to be enough, so why do it? We do all that, don't we? As a way of getting right in the way. It's not going to really fix anything because they're still hungry people. We do that a lot. Well, what's 5 cans of corn, really? You know, how far is that going? Well, that's what stops everybody from everything, isn't it? It's going to be too hard and it isn't going to matter anyway, are the 2 favorite excuses we all have for it, right? And then we squash the real nature of it, which is it would have come naturally out of that. But we got in its way with fear. didn't we? We climbed right in to that. So watch your own habit for that. It's one of two typically, too hard, too much. I can't, or doesn't matter. Because what is $20 anyway, right? It's not going to feed the world. Well, actually it is. Actually it is. That's not actually accurate. One person at a time is also true.
And I find it interesting because I was going to Quaker meetings in La Jolla and there's silent, quiet meetings
That's right.
and I was children's, but it's always with children.
Always there, always available, never obstructed. And so why don't we sit for 2 minutes together just like that? Body in contact with the earth, whatever way you can do that. And rest in the quiet that is infinite, boundless, vast, ageless, deathless, colorless, signless. That means takes no special form. May we dedicate this practice today and then all practice from all traditions, real love in all its forms. May we offer it to ourselves and then to others. In those boundless heaps of the present moment. May we all be happy. May we all be free from pain and affliction. May we all have ease and well-being. And may we remember the truth and the reality of real love. And remember that we are capable of this. And then strengthen our commitment and our intention to practice the presence, to being. And cultivating that real love. And may this practice this very morning, may it contribute. So be it. If for some reason you didn't get that little article, please let me know. It's one I think that's worth keeping. I have another copy here if anybody would like one. It's worth reading and hanging on to. It's been emailed, so you have it in your emails.
Mine's really
That
short.
looks
Mine is just
longer than what we got.
It's not two paragraphs. Yeah.
Yours, I put 2 paragraphs in on the front page. You have to go down to open. And the full document is there.
Okay.
So try that.
Request access.
Request access.
There's a whole bunch of documents in here. I don't know, is there a title to yours?
Yeah, real love.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
you have to, I requested that.
Oh,
weird stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like I'll be resending everyone. So some people got denied access. Some people have access to everything I've ever written.
Do it with
So-
the principle of least effort.
Yeah, I will definitely do. Don't worry, count on me. All right, everyone, be well. I'm gonna resend.
Oh.